Yes, hello everyone. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you. Yeah, so the topic we'll be treating is like I promised is bustier, but firstly we'll be doing the straight bustier. Bustier cut, breast cut, whichever one you call it. So the first one we'll be doing the straight bustier before we go into the process that bustier. So these are the measurements needed, I think, with the bust circumference on the bust, bust point, some people call it BP, then under bust, BP, okay, bust point BP, under bust, UB, nipple to nipple, half length, your back measurement, that's your shoulder measurement too, then your chest line will be needed. Those are the measurements will be needed. So for this particular customer, our bust measurement is 39. So to fold, the first step to fold, you fold with your bust measurement divided by 4 plus 3. That's what you fold with. That is what you fold with. 2 for your sewing allowance, then the other one for joining back your dart. So that's what you fold with. So 39 divided by 4, we have 9.75 plus plus 3, then we have 12.75. So here with 12.75. I'm doing this on a pattern paper before I transfer back to the fabric. So the first thing we'll be doing is to mark a nipple to nipple. A nipple to nipple is 7 inches. From nipple to nipple is from one nipple to another nipple. Yeah, I've uploaded about measurement, general measurements, on basic class. So for the basic class, you get to see all measurement and how it's done. So nipple to nipple is from one nipple to another. And nipple to nipple is 3.5. Is 7 inches. 7 inches divided by 2. You divide that nipple to nipple into 2 because you are doing it on fold. It's on fold. So you have to divide into 2. That's 3.5. But before you do that, you add half inches to it to make sure it's that half inch is used to join back the dart after cutting. Is used to join back the darts together. After cutting, it's going to be on 3 different sides. So that half inch is used to join it back together to make it one. So that means we'll be making use of 4 inches as your nipple to nipple. So for a straight bustier, now you'll be folding. This is unfold. So for a straight bustier, that your nipple to nipple, you'll be folding again with that your nipple to nipple. That means you'll be folding this edge with 4 inches. With 4 inches. This has to be 4. Yeah. So you'll be folding with 4 inches. So then you mark out your vertical measurement after folding on this edge. You are still working on this edge. So our half length is 16.5. You place your half length here. Then you start with your chest line. So the chest line for R is 7. You mark a chest line 7 inches. Our bust point is 10. Our under bust is 13. So we've marked the 3 lines needed for now, and this is a half length. This is a half length here, the last edge. So this is a half length here. So after your vertical lines, then you start your dart cutting. You start your dart measurement. So firstly, on your half length, you mark out 1 inches. So you mark out 1 inch for the from the half length. That's from your waist. Then your under bust. Sorry, let me label them. HL, UB, BP, chest line, CL. So just for you to know the difference. So with that, you will marked 1 inches. You mark 1 inches. from mark 1 inches from the half length. Then from the under bust too, you mark 1 inches. So on the waist, we've marked 1 inches, 1 inch, 1 inch dart on the waist on the half length. While under the bust, you mark the same thing, 1 inch too. Then we'll connect these lines together. So after that, on this bust point, I know you expect me to mark this same 1 inch we marked on these two sides. You expect us to mark it on the bust point, but no. On this bust point, instead of marking it sideways, you mark, this is your main bust point. Main bust point. I want to make it thicker. This is your main bust point. So on this bust point, you mark 1 inch up and 1 inch down. So instead of having its own 1 inch this way, it's going to have 1 inch up, 1 inch down. Yeah. So on the chest line too, you mark 1 inch or 0.75 on the chest line. I'm going to make use of 0.75. It depends on how busty the person is. If the person is busty, I need enough, enough that you make use of 1 inch. But this particular customer is not busty, she has a moderate one, so we're making use of 0.75. So 0.75. Yeah. So let me go over again. The first dart we marked was 1 inch here on the half length or waistline. Then 1 inch on the other bust. Then bust point we marked 1 inch up, 1 inch down. On the chest line we marked 0.75, or you can make it 1 inch. So now this is how to bring out your cuff. So from this angle, you cuff up here to your down bust point. This is the main bust point, down bust point, upper bust point. You cuff it in. Can you see it? Please zoom in. Can you see it? I'm making use of French curve. You cuff it in. So you take the cuff through the main bust point out here. Now the usefulness of these ones are, we don't want to take it straight to the main bust point and take it out. It will be it will be sharp. It will be like all those knock before you enter brass. It will be too pointed. So for it to make it a cup shape, I'm making use of these ones. So that's why these ones, this is what these ones are for. So then you take the cuff in to pass through the main bust point, then it will go out through the upper bust point, then out to meet the chest line. So can you see it? Going in through the main bust point, then out through the upper bust point, then up to the chest line. You can see the cup already. The cup is obvious already. So now from that bust point, you just take it straight up to the you take it straight up to the, just take it straight. Now there was something I missed. Sorry about that. After folding and all, we said the half length is 16.5. Now when you're making off shoulder, it's important you take 4.5 or 5 inches or 5.5, depends on how low you want your off shoulder to be. But I love a very moderate off shoulder, like moderate one. I love a very moderate off shoulder, whereby your bust will not be too will not be exposing too much, and at the same time it won't be too covered, just a very moderate one. So I make use of 4.5. So it means that everything we need is starting from this 4.5 here. So this is what we need. So now we are done with cutting out. We're done with cutting out uh straight bustier cut. We're done with cutting out straight bustier cut. I'm going to cut it out now. Then I'll place it on the fabric. Then I'll take you through how to put a bust pad on it. Then after that bust pad, I'm going to cut out the neck. I'm going to cut out the neck, armhole, put other measurements on it. But this is just how to cut it out first. Some used to, while cutting everything out, some prefer cutting out the neck and all that, but at times it's not always equal. It does not really bring out what you want. So I prefer to cut it out first, put the bust pad, iron, then do other things, then before cutting out the neck and armhole, giving it shape. So for now, we've not inserted the bust measurement, we've not inserted the waist measurement. It's This is just the first phase. So when we are done with all that, then we'll get back. So right now, let's cut out. So cut out. So you have to be careful with your cutting. So you notch the upper part, because if you're not careful, you're going to put the down part to the upper part. So you notch the upper part, like you give it a sign. You give it a sign for you to know that this is the upper part. Sorry. Cut. So now, after the cutting, this one we have. So we'll cut it out on the fabric. Then I'll get back. Then after that, then we'll iron the bustier. Then after the bustier ironing and all, then we'll get back on cutting out with the measurement, the bust measurement and waist, on cutting out the real shape. So this is what we have right now. Later. Yeah, so we've done it out on the fabric, and this is how it looks on each pattern paper. So this is what a straight bustier looks like. So we'll be putting the pad. We'll be putting the pad. We'll be ironing the pad on it. I'm going to show you the process too of ironing and cutting out the pad. We iron the pad on it, then um sew it, then get back to you and see the final result. So after joining the bustiers, this is what it's going to look like. And joining the bustier, there are measurements of cutting out the bustier. If you notice, is the same length. The two sides they are of the same length and the same width. So they are 8 inches in length and 5 inches in width. So for the both sides, but for the middle, you just make use of the length alone. You have to cut out the wideness of the middle the way it is. As you can see, this one is not full because there will be sewing allowance and all that. That's why we made it 5 inches. But for the middle, it has to be full in width. So, but for the length, it has to be the same thing with the sides. We try not to make it long because be cutting out neck, armhole, and all that. So you don't want anything. You don't want anything disturbing your sewing and that. So when we're placing it, the down part, we make sure we left 2 inches each at the down part before ironing it to the fabric. We So we did it with, we joined it together with that ½ inch we added while we were folding our nipple to nipple. We join it together, then you iron. Have to iron this middle so it won't look pointed. As you can see, it's not pointed, it's looking braish, like a bra cup. So it has to be curved, not pointed. So that was the main reason why we that our bust point. That was the main reason why we added bust the upper bust point and the lower bust point. So after joining, then you iron it out. So this is what you get. This is what you get. Now we're going to insert all the measurements on it, the bust, the waist, the shoulder measurement, and armhole, all that. So you fold it into two. It has to be equal on both sides. Okay. So we'll fold it into two and you spread it out. So the first thing you will do, the first thing you will do is to make sure your half length is intact. The half length for this is 16, but with the half inch to join to the down part, because this is a dress. The half inch to join to the down part to make it 16.5. So you have to make sure that your 16.5 is intact. You can see is intact. At the same time, the 4.5 we removed at the upper part for the off shoulder too is intact. So it means we are good to go. The next thing you will mark out is your back measurement. Our back measurement is 15 inches. Divided by 2 is 7.5. But because this is off shoulder, please note this. Because this is off shoulder, you have to deduct 1 inch from it. Because our upper body is larger, is wider than the bust area, like our upper chest. The shoulder area is wider than the upper chest area. So that's why you have to deduct 1 inch from it. So since our back is 7.5, 15 divided by 2, 7.5, minus 1, since it's off shoulder, that will be 6.5. So we'll mark out 6.5 here. I don't know if you can see this chalk. Which one is more clear? The yellow. So mark out 6.5. Now you are going to add half inch only if your off shoulder will be having a sleeve. But if it's not going to be having a sleeve, then you leave it at 6.5. The half inch is used to join the sleeve together with the main body. So this will be having sleeve. So that's why you're going to will make sure you add that half inch to it. So it's going to be 7 inches. So you continue your measurement. Normally shoulder to armhole is 8, but since it's off shoulder, you will remove the 4.5 upward. So you mark 8 inches for armhole, 9 inches for your bust circumference, then this 16.5 for your waist measurement. Okay, so for the bust, our bust circumference is 39 inches. 39 divided by 4 is 11.75. So the bust measurement is 39 inches. 39 divided by 4 is 9.75 plus 2 inches for sewing allowance, making 11.75. Exactly what we folded, because that was the allowance we had. If you remember, when we were folding it from the beginning, we added 3 inches, one for this half, one for this, then 2 inches for the sewing allowance. So we have exactly 11.75 here for the bust. And for the waist, 33 divided by 4 is 8.25. 8.25. There won't be need to add that allowance since we have it that here already. So plus sewing allowance, that's 10.25. You have to stretch it out. So we have 10.25 there. So that's about that. Then for the armhole, to mark your armhole, can make use of freehand if you are already good at that. Then if you are not sure of your freehand, then you can make use of your French curve. I'm making use of French curve because of people that are, you know, that might not be that good at freehand. So use your French curve to cough out, just cough out your armhole. So this is a armhole. So now for the neck depth, that neck depth depends on what you want. It depends on how low you want it. It depends on how low you want it. So for this neck depth, I'll be making use of 7. She's not that busty. She's not that busty. So she's not even busty. So even if you use 7, bust won't still show. She's not busty. So I'm marking out 7. So by the time we sew, it's going to be 7.5, which is still okay. You can make it 8. You can make it 8.5. It depends on how low you want it. You can even make it 10. You can make it 12 if you want all this you want to insert net at the middle. You can make it 14, and you can even cut it out straight. So it depends on how low you want it. But for this, we'll be marking out 7. So from this 7, you're going to connect this 7 with our shoulder measurement here. Sorry, that won't be. So then you just cuff it out to meet shoulder measurements. Like this is a sweetheart neck. Now for this neck, it can be of different styles. You can decide to make it a round one, just a very low round one. So you are making it a round one. Please bring the camera. By making it a round one, you just cuff it down. You just cuff it down, down. It's going to be curved, not sweetheart. But this is sweetheart neck. Yeah, this is sweetheart neck. So is in form of N. Yeah, in form of N, something like that. But we are making use of the round one. You're going to cuff it just down. So I'm making use of sweetheart here. So we cut it out. Then cut out the armhole. So this is what it looks like. This is what it looks like. You can see it's a straight bustier. If it's princess that, then instead of coming straight, it's going to curve out. And it looks like, this is what it looks like. After cutting out your neck and your armhole, you have the side. So this is it. Now this is the lining. You cut the lining the same way you cut the fabric, because if you not cut it the same way you cut the fabric, then you won't like the bust area. It's going to be too tight. It has to have the same shape the fabric has. So we're going to cut out this all these shapes on this lining too. It has to be the same. So you place it on the lining, then you just cut it out exactly the way it is. So we have the same thing we have on the fabric too, on the lining. Same thing we have on the fabric. Yeah, for this wording, for this bustier, it has different texture. You can go for the soft one. There's a fluffy one, but While I was doing this video, I couldn't get the fluffy one. I love using the fluffy one, but this one is hard. Not too hard though, but I don't really like using this. So, but because I had to meet up with this video, so I just had to go for the available one, and it's not that bad. It's not soft, not really soft. So yeah, then you place your lining. You can see it's equal. You place your lining on your fabric, you sew out. You can decide to leave your arm area since you are inserting sleeve, then you sew it down. So that's all. So now we'll be moving to the back cutting. We'll be cutting the back part. This is what it looks like after joining your lining. I've not ironed it, but I just have to show you guys. See the inside. So you have to turn, see the inside this way.